Hello, welcome back to the channel. It's me, Emily the Cat Lady, and you join me here at the Republic of Dave. So we are here in the northeast corner of the map. So the Republic of Dave is due east of Old Olney and sort of Vault 92 and the Grizzly Diners down there, so that's where we are on the map. So for today's Wasteland biographies, I thought it would be fun to look at some of Tenpenny's former associates from the ill-fated expedition to Fort Constantine, and Dave is one of them. So if you are doing the quest for Mr. Crowley, you got to shoot him in the head, then you need to come here because Dave has one of the special keys for Fort Constantine that it lets you get into where the T-51B power armour is located. So this place is currently known as the Republic of Dave, and it's a sovereign nation, in inverted commas, that's separated from the Wasteland itself. So let's...
Hey you! Stop! What do you want from the Republic of Dave?
So, yep, this is Rachel, so she's one of the children who also doubles as a gate guard, which is interesting. So you've got child at heart, you can talk your way past her and just say, I'm just here to play with you. Or you can say you're not here to hurt anyone. Or you can tell her that you're invading. So, yep, just here to play.
I like playing Republic, even though stupid Ralphie always gets to play as Dave. Here, I'll take you to Dave. Just be sure to call him Mr. President Daddy. He likes that.
I will not be calling him that. I will be calling him Mr. President. But yeah, so you can see there's quite a few people dotted about this settlement and some little shacks and things.
Hey there.
There's Shauna. There's more kids over there. So, you know, quite a good little settlement, but this is the main building. The Capitol building. Okay, let's...
The Brahmin smelled awful today.
There we go, and here's the man himself.
Have you heard about Dave, lady?
So, this is Dave, and
Hello.
his father was named Tom, so previously this location was...
We have someone new in my republic.
Yes, we do. Was the Kingdom of Tom, and Tom ended up exiling Dave to the Wasteland, where he spent time as a mercenary, and, as mentioned, took part in the ill-fated expedition to Fort Constantine for Alistair Tenpenny. And at that point he met Rosie, which I think is her over here. So yeah, this is Rosie.
Hi
So
there, honey. Have you spoken to Dave?
not yet. So he met Rosie and ended up marrying her, and then came back here to overthrow his father and found the Republic of Dave, which is a democracy, sort of, because Dave is the only one that runs for president every year and therefore wins every election. One of the things that Dave implemented was polygamy, so marrying more than one person at the same time, and he told Rosie, his first wife, that this was so that he could repopulate the land and expand their nation across the wasteland. So Jessica over here, oh, where'd she go? Oh, where she went. But Jessica there was is the second wife. So let's have a chat with Rosie about that.
Dave doesn't like us talking to strangers.
Okay, maybe we need to talk to Dave first. So yeah, this is Jessica here. Right, I think Dave went upstairs, so let's go find him. Hello.
Evening.
Evening. Let's talk.
I am Dave, President of the Republic of Dave. You will address me as Mr. President, or I will have you executed. Now, are you applying for citizenship, asylum, or just vacationing in the Republic of Dave?
So, yep, he is like, okay, why are you here? You can say that you're seeking asylum. You can seek citizenship, although you actually can, and you can say you're vacationing. Or if you can pass the speech check, then you can say I'm an ambassador from the Wasteland. So Dave is a character that's very easy to turn hostile if you say something that he doesn't like. He said if you don't call him Mr. President, you're going to be executed, which is kind of extreme, but, you know, that's his decision to run his nation as he sees fit, I guess. But if you say this one, then he'll be quite friendly towards you, because he sees this, that if you claim that you're an ambassador from the Wasteland, then he sees that the people of the Wasteland are kind of accepting his nation and accepting the sovereignty of his nation. So he'll be quite friendly. If you claim asylum as a refugee, he'll be kind of fairly neutral towards you, but you are charged a 250 cap immigrant tax in order to stay. And if you do that, then you'll be allowed to help with the election. If you speak against him or the Republic, he will turn hostile and attack him. And of course, if you want to get the key from him, then you either have to kill him to get it, steal it successfully, or pass a speech check. So let's say I'm a most exalted President Dave. I am an ambassador from the Wasteland.
That's just what I would expect to hear from another spy from the Wasteland. You have 1 hour to leave the Republic of Dave or be executed.
Okay. They're not going to speak to me again.
Oh, look at this. The spy...
Okay. So, what can I do to stay?
Now that you mention it, the President could use a new hunting rifle. Tell you what, you find me a serviceable hunting rifle, and I'll grant you special asylum within my Republic. Or you can just pay the 250 cap tax on unwanted refugees.
There you go. So, here's a hunting rifle.
Yes, this will do nicely. Congratulations! You are now an official refugee of the Republic of Dave.
Yay! Thanks. So, yep. Now you are a refugee, so he's allowed that. Is there anything interesting happening? Or you can ask him about Mr. Crowley. Or you can say that the Republic is forfeit and going to be reclaimed by the Wasteland, which obviously will turn him hostile. So, anything happening?
There's an election for the next president. Don't look so surprised. Can't you see this is a republic?
Yep, absolutely.
Well then, there you go. An election is what separates a president like myself from a monarch like my father.
Okay, so, yep, it'll tell us a bit about your, his father. So your father was a monarch like the butterfly?
How much radiation have you been exposed to?
Quite a lot.
Not the butterfly, you moron. I meant the kind of leader that holds his office for life. My father inherited his political power from birth and renamed this great nation the Kingdom of Tom. Although I also inherited my political power from my father, when I took over, I formed a republic so the people may elect their leader.
Okay. So, yep, he's now told us, you know, about his father and how he was a monarch, and when Dave took over, he ended up becoming, turned it into a republic. Can I help with the election?
All right, sure, why not? The people have a tendency to wait until the last minute to vote, but I'd like just to get it over with. I'll spare a few caps if you just tell each of the adults to get over to the voting booth sometime today, so I cinch the victory. Not that I have anything to worry about. The people know who their leader is in this republic.
So, yeah. Tell me a bit more
The
about
Department
the
of Tourism usually handles all questions for outsiders. Make it quick.
So, what's your future plans?
Well, the Republic of Dave is the only true sovereign nation in the Wasteland. The only really civilized place left in the world.
Debatable.
One day, all Wastelanders will be citizens in the Republic and know the greatness of their president.
Yep, okay, that's fine.
Well, good for you then.
Okay, I have to go.
Very well.
So, yep, you can see Dave has quite a high opinion of himself and has, you know, plans for the future to grow his nation and the greatness of it. So yeah, it's quite an interesting one, and you can get it's an unmarked quest.
I really hope you're not thinking of breaking into there.
Nope, just looking. So yeah, that's the ballot box. So now you have the job of telling all the adults to go and cast their vote in the election. You can, if you don't do anything other than just telling them all, hey, go and make sure you go and vote, then Dave wins automatically. You can intervene and convince Rosie or Bob. Bob is the second command of the army of Dave, Dave being first in command because there's only two of them. But, you know, he's got a department of tourism, he's got a museum, there's a school as well in this location, although, you know, the kind of thing that they're taught is interesting, but we'll get onto that a bit more later. If you convince Rosie or Bob to run against Dave, then, again, if you don't intervene, Dave will win, but you will have the opportunity just before he starts counting the votes, where you can basically hide over there and take all Dave's votes out and leave the vote for Rosie or the vote for Bob, and then basically rig the election so that one of them win.
Don't even think of breaking into that.
Shut up. So if you do that, then Dave is understandably very upset that his people have decided that he's not their great leader anymore, and he decides to leave. So he goes off to annex Old Olney to make the new Republic of Dave, and will probably be eaten by the Death Claws. But despite the eccentric leader, they've set up a museum, there's a school, there's a tourism department and everything, there's an agricultural department. But the things that they're taught are kind of questionable. Apparently Dave as a baby didn't cry ever, and his poop didn't stink. That's one of the things that the kids are taught. So he's definitely a bit out of touch, and has a very high opinion of himself as well. But the children are taught in the school, they're taught of Dave's own kind of view of his history, and it's pretty clear indoctrination. There's another child.
Almost as big as Dave.
Thanks.
President Daddy says that people from outside the Republic are bad.
There you go. So it's women's quarters. There's Bob.
Another foreigner in the Republic.
Men's quarters. Not allowed in there apparently. There's the museum, which is also a classroom. So yeah, you can get a little tour of this, I believe, from one of the kids. It is also the location for the perception bobblehead, so that's nice. And we've got where is it? Yeah, so there's some Chinese weapons. There's a Brahmin skull, which they try and convince you is a Deathclaw skull, but it's clearly a Brahmin skull. And yeah, this is the kind of classroom. So it's got things kind of fairly well set up, really. But, you know, I mean, he literally says to you that if you refuse to call him Mr. President, then you'll be executed, and he doesn't tolerate any disrespect. So in terms of, you know, he's quite a touchy character, that if you say the slightest thing that he doesn't like, then he is very quick to turn on you and attack, and there's not really a whole lot that you can do to kind of get back on his good side. So he does have a unique weapon, which is the unique hunting rifle, Old Painless, that's in his safe. So if we head back into the Capitol building and through into his office. So yep, there's the safe here.
I
And
really hope you're not thinking of breaking into there.
so yep, we've got the safe, but you need the key. So you can get the key from Dave, I believe, and you can also get the key from Rosie. If you get her to win the election, then she'll give you the key, and you can take the weapon and you can go, and it's a pretty decent one to have. But it's a safe that requires a key, so there's no lock picking, which is really annoying, that the characters are like, I hope you're not thinking about breaking into there. It's like, well, I can. But yep, here's the agricultural sector with their Brahmin.
A wastelander, like in the stories about Dave.
Yeah.
President Daddy says the people from outside the Republic are bad.
There we go. So, yeah, President Daddy is, well, you know, it says people from outside the Republic are bad. It's an interesting take, and just to be clear, from the developers themselves, that Dave was really written just to be a funny kind of thing to discover and wasn't based on anything from real life. Just to be clear on that. But yeah, it's an interesting little place, and it's one of these locations, like, I never discovered this at all in my first playthrough because it's so far out of the way. I mean, you're right up in the corner of the map, and it's a dangerous part of the world because you're near Old Olney, there's death claws everywhere. I think these quest markers are possibly for the first quest, one of the Broken Steel quests. But, you know, this corner of the map, there's death claws, there's Yao Guai, all sorts of nonsense happening. On my way over here, I did hear a vertibird, so possibly the Enclave are kicking about as well. So yeah, dangerous place to be, but if you do stumble across this, or if you come here for the quest, then it's quite an interesting one. You can get involved with an election, you can get involved with rigging an election if you want to. You've got these options open to you, which is quite nice. Oh, here's your training, like firing range, I guess. Fair enough. So yeah, that's Dave. He's quite the character, definitely. I'm trying to think of a polite way to put it. I guess he's kind of eccentric. He's got a high opinion of himself, and he doesn't really like it when things go his way, because he claims that he wants a democracy so that the people can vote for their leader, but doesn't really like it when people vote against him. And if that happens and he loses the election, then he goes off and gets eaten by the death claws. So yeah, definitely quite a character, and an interesting one to stumble across in this little corner of the Wasteland. So hopefully you find that interesting. I do like Dave. I think he's quite funny. He's quite entertaining, and you know, it's interesting to see the different things that people have done, because there's no law left, there's no government really, there's nothing, so people are trying to rebuild the world the way they see fit. And Dave has obviously decided that his father, who was a king, didn't do things the right way, so he took over and changed his mind, and changed the system. So an interesting one, I think. But let me know what you think in the comments. As always, I'd love to hear it. Really excited to see so many new subscribers after the Mr. Tenpenny video, so definitely going to be talking about some of the more high profile characters in the games going forward as well. I think there's really a lot to be said about some of them, especially likes of Mr. House and Arthur Maxon of the Brotherhood, for one thing. You know, there's lots of very interesting characters, very colourful characters in these games, and that's a big part of the appeal for me. So I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you all next time. Bye.